Hi, this is the Film Gamer channel again, and this is another interview. And this is a special interview again with a really great and talented guy from England, Harry Murrell. I pronounce your
I,
name well, yeah? Harry?
it's Murrell, yes.
Okay, okay.
Although everybody pronounces it slightly differently.
Oh, I see. And you have got a YouTube channel, of course, too, and you have many kind of music there and videos about soundtracks of video games and film and movie soundtracks. And
Mhm.
how you began the process of being a musician and a guitarist, and how you love guitar all the time from your childhood, or maybe some
Oh no.
parent or relative presented to you and you was love in the moment about guitars. So what was the
What happened is
maybe the beginning process of your career?
well, it started very late actually. I didn't actually think I had any musical ability until my friend bought me a bass guitar at the age of 17. So I played that for a few months and then I sort of realized, oh, I'm getting quite good at this. And my friend was playing guitar, so I borrowed his guitar for like a month. And then a month afterwards, it was my birthday. And so my parents got me just this cheap electric guitar.
Mhm.
And so I played that for a couple of months. And then I was going off to university to study law. Um, and what happened was my dad, um, about 10 years prior, he bought this classical guitar and he never played it. He was a pianist back in the day, but he doesn't really do music anymore, sadly. But he wanted to get into classical guitar, and he never really did. He gave me this classical guitar to take with me, and so I had that with me while staying in Newcastle to study law. And let's just say I didn't enjoy the course very much. It wasn't really who I was. So I ended up playing the guitar instead of studying law. So and it just helped me. I was like a bit depressed at the time because I was no longer sure what I wanted to do in my life, and
That is the period
just have,
we all know.
yeah,
Yeah.
so, so having this guitar just helped me cope with that. And I found this website called GameTabs.net, which contains tablature for pretty much all the video games I was playing
You can
as a
practice there.
tablet.
You can practice there with the
Yes, exactly. So it was just music that I could read instantly because it's just designed for beginners to be able to read it without needing to read notation, which I couldn't do at the time. So I spent 5 hours, 6 hours every single day for almost a year of my life just um, on this website, downloading all the tabs from all my favorite pieces of music, and that kept me on an even keel, so to speak. It helped me overcome the depression I was experiencing at the time. And within a year, I'd actually gotten quite good, a lot better than I was expecting to get. So I sort of realized I actually have some
so
kind of,
it's maybe self-learning. It was a self-learning. You don't need the
yes.
teacher to.
No, not at the time.
Uh,
So yeah, I've taught the basics and like, yeah, I learned the guitar by myself.
it's
Um,
fine. Good.
and
You are a real
I,
talent there.
um,
That's a real talent there.
I think it was made easier because I have a certain musical lineage to fall back on. I have my father, he was a pianist until about the age of 30, and he was quite a good one. And his father, and I think there is more musical history in the family beyond that point as well. So on my father's side, I've inherited some kind of genetic
They
memory. So it
supported
made,
you. They supported you in the music
um,
learning.
I suppose so, like not directly, but just by I don't know it's whether you believe in genetic memory or not. Sort of like my
Yeah.
father, like before I was born, he stopped playing music. He stopped playing his music before I was born. So I wasn't surrounded by music. I wasn't sort of, I didn't have anybody learning music or practicing music in my life. Um, but if you believe in genetic memory, then like the processes in his mind from becoming a musician and the process his father went through as well, sort of passed down the sort of like latent ability just to like learn music a bit faster than maybe other people. So I think that helped me learn guitar, and that's why like after about a year and a few months of playing, I sort of realized I want to do this professionally. I want to be a musician. I don't want to study law anymore. So I dropped the course at law, and I did this music A level, which was a popular music thing. So it wasn't really my type of music, and I was just playing electric guitar for it. But I had a year of that, and I learned basic music theory, and I got the skills I needed to get to be able to do music at a degree level. So after that year, um, so what? Yes, at the September 2010, I believe, that's when I started my music degree at Newcastle University, and it's all been a good upward process since then.
It's almost end, or
Sorry?
you get your degree now, or
Oh yes, I've graduated now. I
oh,
graduated in
congratulations.
2014, so it's been a while.
And it was a hard work, I think.
It was quite hard work, especially at first, because I only had 2 years of
The
music.
hardest part was
Like,
in the beginning, always.
yeah, and so many people on the course have been doing it all their lives, and I wasn't very good with musical notation at the time, and there were a couple of modules which sort of
The music
demanded.
sheets, I always
Yes, there's a lot of.
the hardest. Paul Romero told about it that
Mm,
he was in the quite hard part and the learning how the
uh,
reading the music sheets, so.
uh, that doesn't help. I'm not really a visually oriented person, so I prefer to do everything by ear if I can. So I'm not as good as reading, not as good as
But you
reading.
can learn
So
right in visual and by ear and everything else too, because many musicians are there that they learn just maybe quite a bit about the sheets and the reading the sheets, and they are really good. So
yes,
you
definitely.
can learn by yourself too, not needing that a whole part of for the lifetime learning teaching without
Yeah,
teachers too can be a good way. But you know that it's not an easy part too, an easy way, but
no,
maybe you can do it. So you must
exactly.
you must start. But many musicians doesn't have the maybe the courage to start.
Oh,
I
I know what you mean,
understand that
but
it
it's really best to be
needs
able to
a
do
start.
both. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and maybe you have really great experiences. Maybe you were on some concerts, maybe in a band. Or,
All right. I haven't actually done many performances. Um, so the first performances I ended up doing were part of the pop A level I was doing
yeah.
directly after dropping out of law. That was in 2009 to 2010. And yeah, we had a few concerts then. I was just playing electric guitar in a band. I sort of did some solos, I did some backing work, did some acoustic guitar work, and that was okay. And and I had a few performances throughout the course of my university. Some of them as part of the degree, um, some of those outside the university, and they went okay. I've always had problems with nerves. I've only recently managed to overcome my nerves, so the performances I've done in the last year have been great.
You have excitement all the time,
Yeah,
there are many musicians said that the excitement may be gone in a time, but no, and, it's always there. Yeah.
mm, no. So, so yeah, the concerts I've done, they went okay. People enjoyed them, but I just thought I wish I could have done better. I wish if only I didn't have the nerves, I didn't have the shaky hand. So I didn't really do much because I knew that because of my nerves, I couldn't
Yeah. And
do the
for the
performance
guitar,
I
it's
wanted
a bad
to.
thing because your
Yeah,
hands the most important.
yeah, exactly. It gets in the way so much. But yeah, I do a bit of wedding stuff nowadays. Well, I've
Yes.
started to. I've had one um, wedding reception, and that went really well. There was no nerves or anything, so it was very relaxed. I just played for like 45 minutes, and yeah, it was great. And so I've finally got to the ability where I'm comfortable performing, and I can perform how I'd like to perform without being hindered. I can play in a way which I'd like to play. And so performance has recently become a part of my life, but for the few years
Sometimes
prior to
it's not
that, I
the
wasn't really.
main course of it, the main thing. Yeah. But
Yeah.
sometimes the musicians need live performance experience all the time.
Oh,
Maybe the
absolutely.
nerve can be gone later in the future, but you need some more like festivals or concerts that you can feel playing lively with a great audience or bigger audience. It's a
Oh yeah, no,
nerve maybe can be normal for after a time. Yeah, it's
yeah.
quite
So
hard.
yeah, hopefully things will just accumulate, get bigger.
Yeah.
So like maybe a few years down the line, I'll actually be doing concerts for my fans on YouTube. I mean, that's something I've always really wanted to do.
Yeah, there
And
can be a private fan concert.
well, that wouldn't be bad either. Just yeah, something really small.
Maybe Newcastle or
Yeah,
surroundings. Yeah, yeah.
that'd be pretty cool.
And then when you decided to make a YouTube channel, or maybe you have a web page too, or not? I didn't know. You have a Facebook channel. I saw it.
Yes, yeah, I created my Facebook page like about a year after making my YouTube channel. And the YouTube channel I made um, pretty much as soon as I dropped out of law to pursue music. I bought the microphone I'm actually using right now because I use it for Skype. I bought this microphone to record guitar because it attached straight into my computer, a USB connection, so it's nice and easy. Um, so I took that home with me to my dad's where I was living for another year, and it's from August, I think, or July,
Mhm.
in 2009. That's when I started doing these YouTube videos. So initially I recorded in my dad's kitchen. I sort of realized out of all I know it's brilliant, but you
So
have these first.
it has really great acoustical.
Exactly. So I had these first few videos where it's just this guy sitting in the kitchen, like, ooh, this is a bit weird. How many videos like this are there on YouTube? But I guess I've always
Sweet
been a
home.
bit weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Um, so the only reason I did that is because it was the volume was louder because the plaster walls and
Yeah.
it was all laminated floor and stuff like but everywhere else in the
But
flat
it
was
sounded great
concrete.
too because
So
the
it sounded
it was
okay.
good. So
Yeah. But it
bit
was a
loud,
few
but
months. Yeah. But it was in about September that I realized, oh, actually, if I go to the other end of the flat, because it's this big long flat with this big long hallway, so it has the bedrooms and then a hallway, and then it goes into the lounge at the end of the flat. So I realized if I recorded by the bedrooms, just outside them, it actually although it's carpeted, it's not quite as loud. The sound is better, the acoustics are nicer, so that it captures more frequencies that I'd like to capture. So I started doing my videos down there. So that means all the videos that you might see on my YouTube channel from September 2009 to about June 2010. Those were all recorded in that little hallway. I tried to get it done every second Sunday. And yeah, that's how the YouTube thing came about. And it wasn't until later 2010 that I started getting, people subscribing to my channel and stuff. Before then, it was just me doing it just to get myself out there, just to enjoy being a musician, just enjoy releasing
this is
music,
this
playing it for people.
flat where you are in now. This is not another flat or
Yes, it is.
another.
Where I'm living right now, I managed to save up a bit of money, um, from my student grant, and then I saved a bit of money from the
Okay.
work I'm doing, and so I had this, and then I found this place I'm living right now, and I'd
This is
already looked at
Newcastle
about.
also.
It is. This is in Gateshead, which is just across the river. It's effectively Newcastle. It has the same postcode, but technically it's another city. So I'm living in Gateshead right now because that's where my work is. So it's just a 20-minute walk.
And there is a castle in Newcastle, maybe.
There is a castle in Newcastle, yes.
Yeah.
Can you? Um, so yeah, the place I'm living right now is an upper flat, so I don't have any people stomping on the roof or anything,
Yeah.
which is helpful.
Disturb
And
neighbors.
yeah, and it's actually at the very end of a terrace. You have this big hill, and you walk up about over 120 houses, and I'm at the very top. And so, because I'm at the very top of this hill and it's not connected to any other streets, it's very quiet, which is why I took it because I wanted to get recording done to a professional level without cars going past outside, without kids playing. So I've been very fortunate finding this place, and the acoustics in the room I'm sitting in right now are very nice as
Oh, it's
well. So
quite good. Almost a concert hall.
almost a concert hall, but not
Yeah,
quite.
yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And I watched some of your videos, not all, but because there are many.
Well, there's quite a
I hope
lot.
there may be more.
Yes,
But
definitely.
there are many kind of and type of video games there, but mainly maybe RPGs the most. You really like the
Yes.
RPGs the most, the video games about the RPGs, and
Mm.
they maybe they have the most qualifying, maybe the most qualified with the most qualified composers. Maybe the Gothic 3, Gothic 3
Absolutely.
Risen,
Yeah.
and
Pinonza,
also
Paul
the
Romero,
Jeremy
Journalist.
So, yeah, the
Mm.
Skyrim, and
Guy
the,
Rosenkranz.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah. So you love these games, this kind of games, yeah.
Oh yes,
Maybe from
absolutely.
your childhood, since your childhood, or with your friends, you played really much with your friends or relatives.
Not the RPGs. Like the music that I've played on my YouTube channel largely has just been from my own quiet moments during childhood.
I see.
Like the games I played with my friends were sort of the games my friends preferred, like shoot 'em ups and
Yeah,
action oriented games. Actually, I played a lot of Tekken as a kid, but
yeah.
obviously the Tekken soundtrack isn't very adaptable to guitar. I mean, if I could, I would. I do
Action
sometimes
soundtrack.
play around with arranging some Tekken music just to sort of like all the percussion and the funky bass lines.
Yeah.
Um, but it's something I haven't really cultivated enough to be good enough to record for YouTube. And also my emotions are more attached to the RPGs because that's more my emotional state is that of the soundtrack music. This
They
is
have
really
got more varied style of soundtrack, and also they have a heart
yes,
almost, yeah, musical
exactly.
heart. They
Yeah, that's
need
true. Yes.
to because
Oh, I've always loved
of
the
the
heart.
storyline or the characters or the events, so they needed a much more epic, sometimes much more personal music. So
Exactly.
it's
That's it.
quite
So
good,
it's
and also
I mean,
sometimes strategy game, heroes and everything. Yes.
yeah, exactly. That's right. You sometimes forget that Heroes of Might and Magic is a strategy game because there's so many role-playing elements attached to it. Um, and so many role-playing games that I like Baldur's Gate and stuff, are
Yeah,
effectively strategy games themselves. So I suppose I sort of blur the line a bit. I mean, I suppose the thing that sets Heroes of Might and Magic as an RPG is the really beautiful
yeah,
music,
yeah,
the visuals have typically been very pretty,
yeah.
and the it's always been set in this fantasy sort of environment as opposed to sort of like a medieval one.
Yeah, it's
So
almost just like your childhood adventures and childhood memories. With the game,
exactly,
it
that's it.
come back again. So
Yeah.
it's quite strangely quite good too. So yeah. And also, who are your favorite composers? Maybe from video
Yeah.
game music or maybe from
Yeah.
film history. So,
Yeah.
but,
Well, actually, at the top of the list, I have to thank Paul Romero, because it was the Heroes Might and Magic 3 soundtrack. It wasn't actually Heroes Might and Magic 3. Do you know the Heroes Chronicles
yeah,
games?
yeah.
The little spin-offs.
Maybe expansions. Yeah,
Yeah, the separate
yeah.
campaigns,
Stuff.
that's what.
Yeah.
So it was Clash of the Dragons. My dad just purchased this one day. He sometimes liked to buy random video games and just sort of say, "Oh, play this. It looks interesting." I was like, "Okay, I'll play this," and I just got hooked on it. It just drew me into this really magical landscape. And before that, I wasn't really familiar with orchestral music. I think I was about 8 or 9 years old at the time, and so you open the first music that you hear is the Rampart town theme from Heroes 3, and I was just swept away. This is amazing. I was like, and I just didn't expect
And
someone of
when you
my
have problems, these kind
yeah,
of
orchestral
music
music.
or soundtracks can calm you down and have a relaxed soul. So it's quite good. They
Yeah,
can heal some people also.
yeah. But sometimes I was just interested in playing it. Just for the sake of the music. I actually left the Rampart town, the town screen on deliberately on multiple occasions just to hear the full piece of music because it was so cathartic for my soul. It was just
Yeah,
it really healed me emotionally
lift
when
up,
I
lift
through
yourself
that
up.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Paul Romero was at the top of the list because he is the man who got me into orchestral music, and he was the core of my sort of nostalgia. at
You
the
know
time.
him from 5 years or don't know too many years. You know him from Facebook or you
Oh,
talk many times. Or
I've interacted with him on a few
or
occasions.
when you meet
It
him.
was just, yeah, sort of,
Like,
yeah, he released last night. I found him on YouTube. I was like, oh, wow, this guy's on YouTube. It's like my favorite video game composer. That's so cool. So I
yeah,
sent him a couple of messages just to say how much, I really appreciate music and stuff. And then I sort of got inspired to sort of cover some of it. And that means he saw one of my covers and he really, really liked it. So we started talking over YouTube, which was
yeah.
great. So
I
sort of added him on
saw that
Facebook. And it's
he
been great, sort of like,
commented your videos. Commented. He will have.
yes, exactly. It's sort of like, and ever since then, yeah, whenever I have a new Heroes video up, I sort of send it to him, and he seems to really appreciate it. He seems to, which is amazing. It's an amazing compliment from a composer to like for them to really enjoy your rendition of their music.
He's a professional
So
judge in music there. In
yeah,
videos, yeah.
yeah.
He has
So
approvals and yeah. But I think he learned by ear too. He talked about me that he has got really good ears for music, and he has got not like parents that yours. He has got maybe boxing parents, if I remember, boxer father, and that this is an experience that you can learn by yourself. Yeah, it's quite good. And also you like Jeremy Soule, if I remember.
oh yes.
Yeah.
So Morrowind was like,
Uh,
and I think it was like a couple of years after playing Heroes of Might and Magic, that I got into the Morrowind game. It's another one that my dad just bought. He's like, "Oh, this is very interesting as well." So I'm like, "Okay, Dad, whatever you say." So I started playing that, and it was different. So the main menu theme is obviously like the first piece you hear, and I was like, "That's really beautiful," and Call of Magic. But and then as soon as you start playing the game, though, you're surrounded by the sort of like otherworldly alien sort of soundtrack. That sort of makes you a bit on edge almost. It's sort of like, oh, what's going to be around the corner? So it's like when you're playing the video game, you're not necessarily in this Skyrim-esque sort of beautiful
and it uses
environment.
some
Actually, it's sort of like,
special
oh, what's
unique
going on?
instruments too, no? It uses sometimes special instruments.
I
Yeah,
think he does. I can't remember specifically if there are any
yeah. And sometimes
sort of orchestral instruments. I mean,
Far
the French
Eastern,
one's always a huge
Far
part in it.
Eastern ones maybe. Yeah,
Hmm. I haven't.
yeah.
Just trying to think
So
because I haven't
you
listened
young
to them.
first, you know first Morrowind.
Yes.
Yeah,
So anyway, yeah, that was another soundtrack I got really into, and it was like, and so the Call of Magic theme is very beautiful, and Peaceful Waters, that's another piece that was really beautiful,
yeah.
and then the rest of the soundtrack was sort of like very, very effective at taking you into this other landscapes. You sort of associate Morrowind now with this very specific kind of music that Jeremy Saul managed to conjure, and but it's only like when I realized Jeremy Saul was the composer to like a lot of other games I've been playing, like Icewind Dale, for
Yeah.
example.
I see
Um,
Dungeon Siege. Yeah,
yeah, I was like, oh my, this is amazing. This guy's composed like all of these
yeah.
games, and I didn't even know about it.
He
So I
has
mean, the
got a
sun
soul,
started
a musical soul.
making these links. So I was like, oh, so Jeremy Saul's like done pretty much most of the games I've fallen in love with. So yeah, so that's when I started keeping up with Jeremy Saul and saying like, what other music he's doing.
He's
And
on
and
Facebook.
like I think the only reason I bought Skyrim in the first place, I wasn't playing a lot of video games at the time, was because I knew the soundtrack was by Jeremy Saul. So I was like, okay, I know I'm going to enjoy this game, even if the game isn't that good. I still love the soundtrack, and I need to experience the soundtrack in the landscape of Skyrim. So I got Skyrim and I played it intensely for 2 weeks, not even going to university at the time because I was just addicted to it. So I got this level 55 assassin type character. Um,
Yeah.
in about 2 weeks, I'd sort of done everything I wanted to do. So that means I was like, okay, I finished playing Skyrim, so now let's start arranging the Skyrim music for guitar and seeing where things go from there. Um, and yeah, Skyrim is probably one of my favorite soundtracks. Um,
Yeah,
I
that,
wouldn't say it's
yeah.
as like it's as unusual as a Morrowind soundtrack, or the he's done another soundtrack for a game called Dawn of War. Don't
Sometimes
know
a little bit Nordic, if I can say so. Yeah.
yes, definitely there were some strong Nordic elements, especially texturally. Um, But generally, it's just really pretty orchestral music. I think one thing that's unusual about it is he uses the orchestra to produce something which is very ambient. You'd sort of expect a lot of the pieces of music to be done more electronically. You'd expect to hear them on some sort of chill out album or some sort of some experimental electronic stuff. But he actually does this all with an orchestra. So I think he still creates something very special and unique with the Skyrim soundtrack.
Yes, this is maybe more for the sixth game of Elder Scrolls, maybe.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that
But
as well. I mean, I haven't heard directly if Jeremy's working on a soundtrack, but I know he has actually like
there's some
announced
gossips
the
there.
game
More.
via his Facebook page, so hopefully he's working on it.
And maybe I love a little bit more the Oblivion soundtrack, but Skyrim was good too. But maybe Oblivion
Hmm.
a little bit more for me. But maybe
Hmm.
it's because
I think
Oblivion is a much more comfortable word, much more
oh,
closer to us than the Nordic word.
oh yes, that's
But,
true. Yes, so
but
Oblivion, like I think that's the most film
oh,
soundtrack
yeah,
music. I think that's more what you'd expect
yeah, it's
from
a
sort
middle
of
aged one, or
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
It's something about Oblivion music. I don't know, it's like it's slightly put me on edge a bit like Morrowind for some reason. Like some of the Oblivion music is like really relaxed.
yeah,
And on other parts, the harmonies are quite normal, they're like quite pretty. But I
yeah.
don't know, I think it's this use of instruments in the Oblivion soundtrack, the sort of like what's going to come around the corner. It's like this slight bit of tension that I couldn't really place. So there's a few pieces of Oblivion soundtrack like Minstrel's Lament and Watchman's Ease. And the second half of the Oblivion theme, like the really slow sort of that I really love. But then there's other parts of the Oblivion soundtrack which I'm like, hmm, uh,
And there are action
they're
pieces.
really great pieces of music, but like they're designed in a way sort of to make me feel a bit edgy and not can't necessarily listen to them in my own time. But when I'm playing the video game, I'm sort of thinking, okay, there's a really nice landscape, and I know around the corner there's going to be some bandit come out and try to mug me or something like that. And somehow he managed to capture that tension while playing really pretty music. So definitely a very gifted composer for like this specific type of game. It's like he's been made to compose music for the Elder Scrolls in a way.
And he helps as Mr. Romero too. He can sometimes helps for the fans or the musicians that on the Facebook. They're really
Mm.
nice people. They help when they have time for it. So
Yes, yeah.
it's quite. I know. So Mr. Soto, I sometimes chatted with him and also with
Yeah.
Romero from 2010. So they're
Cool.
real nice. They kept they kept stayed in the earth, and it's quite good because now sometimes some composers maybe came too high and they will
That's true.
behave differently than before. So but they not. So, so it's quite a good
Now,
thing.
both Jeremy Saul and Paul Mel have been able to balance their sort of creative output to create these great careers for both of them.
And sometimes
So,
collaborating with the fans, maybe with you later. I hope.
maybe, yeah.
Sometimes
I'd love to be a
collaborate
composer.
with the fan and team of Hero 7, the team that I don't have the don't have the pleasure to tell you because I can't
Uh,
tell you now, but there will
yeah.
be a team maybe that will use some of the fans teams that they made. There are some musicians in maybe Turkey or in an Arab country. I don't know now exactly where, but or maybe in Greece, and Romero worked with him and make a tune, new team
They actually
or a
work together.
town. So it's a
Oh,
quite
I
good.
didn't know they worked together. I think I've heard, I can't remember what the town is called, but yeah, it was very good. It was actually like a slightly managed to capture Romero's style. So, I mean, if he's working directly with it,
I hope
that
you
explains.
you will work together with Mr. Soul
That'd be
Romero.
fantastic.
But
That's definitely something I'd be up for.
and when I don't know, Hans Zimmer maybe,
I've never
he liked
exactly
to work
noticed.
with
Um,
guitarists in his soundtracks, maybe in Inception and and
yes.
in now with in Batman vs Superman. He like to work with guitarists, so
Mhm.
yeah, so there are sometimes classical musics and ordinary nowadays musics can be mixed together. So it's quite,
Yes,
and also
exactly.
electronic sometimes. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'd definitely love to work with Hans Zimmer sometime, but yeah, he's a little harder to reach than Jeremy
Yeah.
Soule or Memo. Uh, he's somehow, I guess he's the big #1 celebrity of all soundtrack music at the moment,
Yeah.
especially
But
since the
now
Batman.
he wanted the rest pose for superhero movies. He don't make
Yes, he stopped
for a
making.
time anymore.
Yeah, which is I'm quite happy to hear that, to be
Yeah.
honest. The music he's done for the superhero movies has been
Yeah.
great, but it's not something that I can really
Yeah.
fall in love with. Like the Last Samurai soundtrack, that's my favorite score from his,
Last Samurai, yeah.
and it's just exquisite. So if he can make some more
Makes the
music
movie
like
even
that,
better. I didn't quite like the movie even much as the soundtrack, but the soundtrack is
yes, the movie
way
itself,
more, make
it's
the movie
okay.
more
It has some
better.
nice moments, but
Yeah, yeah,
mostly it's a bit of a
yeah.
cheese fest, a Hollywood style action flick. But the soundtrack is gorgeous. There's no doubting that.
Yeah.
And so one day
It's
I'd
much
like
more
to do a little
traditional
cover
one,
of
you know. It's a Japanese styles of music, and also
it.
it's quite music. It's a relaxing one. It's quite good.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. And, and maybe there are more composers from the movies that you like. Your favorite composers?
Ooh.
John Williams, you know.
Hans Zimmer's at the top of the list. John Williams, I've never been that much of a fan of. Well, actually, I loved Jurassic Park as a kid,
Yeah,
and I still
me.
like it. And the soundtrack is still fantastic. But generally, the more bamba, the more bombastic kind of soundtracks like John Williams, I tend to stay away from. I mean, I tend to lean more towards music which is really peaceful
Portion
and
of peaceful, yeah.
introverted, yeah. And the John Williams has always been a very extrovert musical style. It's always about capturing this great, grand sort of elation within the music, and less about sort of peaceful introspection, like Hans Zimmer's
Maybe
music.
Howard Shore is the between them. You know, Howard Shore has got horristical style of music and also relaxing kind of
So,
epic kind of.
yeah,
Yeah, and also
uh,
James Newton
ob-
Howard, maybe the mixture of the.
yeah, yes, that's true. And Howard Shore, obviously, I can't help but name him because the Lord of the Rings soundtrack is my favorite
Yeah.
soundtrack created ever. I think
Yeah.
it's something else. It's just a work of genius. And I don't mind going on record saying I was slightly disappointed with the Hobbit soundtrack.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
it's
First,
different,
yeah.
different
I
also.
mean, the second, third films, I don't think there's any pieces of music in it that I'm particularly want to listen back to
Yeah.
at all. The first film did have some nice music in it, which is why I'm doing this sort of like mini EP thing. Um,
Yeah, you
and
have
so what
a
happened is,
cover about Hobbit too. Yeah.
yeah, so I'm doing a few Hobbit covers and releasing them sort of through Bandcamp or something. Um, and I was really hoping though that I'd get inspired by the second and third film. So I sort of announced, "Oh, I'm going to do a Hobbit EP thing," and then I was hoping when I see the second film, I'm like, "Okay, I'm going to do a part two, then I'm going to do part three." But it ended up being that only the first soundtrack contained any sort of pieces of music that I like doing. So sadly, it's just going to be a standalone, an unexpected journey EP, and after that, I'm probably just going to go back to Lord of the Rings music and
Yeah.
start releasing that again.
I like some new tunes in the second part, but maybe in the third part there are not so much entirely new pieces. But sadly, sometimes in the soundtracks, sometimes with the video games too, but mainly in the movie business, the
Mm.
soundtracks have much more music tracks and lists than that are in the film
That's absolutely
entirely. So
right.
it's like they
With
sometimes they manage to forget some great tunes and themes that are on the soundtrack list, and then they aren't in the movie. They disappear from the movie. Sadly, it's quite sad thing. And sometimes
yeah,
that you have a cover about them, it's quite good because maybe new audience can hear it as well. Because they not so many people sadly, I think, hearing the whole soundtracks.
mm,
Uh, just for the movie, and
yes.
and it's
Yeah, the thing about composing for a movie is there's so much. I suppose there's parts where the actions that you're seeing, the visuals, the dialogue, they're speaking for themselves. So that means the music is no longer meant to create this entire conversation, and the music's just supposed to be there to support something, to support a conversation. So I think like 50, at least 50% of a movie soundtrack is going to be music which is just designed to be in the background. It's not meant to say anything.
Sometimes
But
in
the music said anything, it would
ambient
get
one.
away. Yeah.
In the background, yeah.
So, but with video game soundtracks, often the music is you have to go even further than with film soundtracks because creating video game music, you have to sort of imply there's a lot more going on than there actually is. So if you look at like an old school 90s game like Heroes 3, and you have it with the sound off, you're not really you're just seeing the sort of 2D image, and it's a very nice drawing, and there's some sort of little bit of animation here and there. But you turn on the music, and then suddenly this other
So that
dimension has been added to it. You
you
suddenly
when they're in
know
the
what's
game.
going on. Yeah, so you got the sort of it's the music takes a 2D concept and that actually adds third dimension into it. And so that means Heroes 3, this 2D little video game, because of the music, it becomes a three-dimensional world where you're living and breathing it. You can hear the grass rustling under your horse's hooves, and that kind of thing. And in the middle of battle, you can sort of like you get the adrenaline because of these really great combat scores that have been designed for it. So the music of video games is really there to tell an entire story, to fill an entire world all by itself, while the music of films a lot of the time is just there to complement an ongoing scene, which already has a lot going on in it. So the music needs to take a step back and say, okay, I'm just going to be here to add this little bit extra, not a third dimension like it would be for video games.
But sadly, on the video games, in nowadays, I maybe see that the studios and the big publishers don't put more money in the making of the soundtracks. They put less money in each year, and sadly it seems in the Hero soundtracks too. In Hero 6 and 7 there isn't much more, like you said about the Heroes 4 and 4
Oh,
and at 4.
yeah.
So I think the background music, the ambient music, it's much less now, or not much more qualified than these days, because
Yeah,
good music needs time for composing.
absolutely, yes.
They
And
need
it's
more
just,
instruments and better instruments, and also
I mean,
uh,
yeah,
also um, uh,
it's all been a
planning the
constant.
whole soundtracks. But nowadays the publishers, I don't think that they just see the money and they don't think about great soundtracks. The
Sort of,
soundtracks
yeah.
needs money also and time, but they rubbish it and put it away, sadly.
I know what you mean.
It's
I
not
mean,
that
I'd love to.
sometimes, not always. That is Witcher free, it's a
No, no, a lot of the time, like you say, you're right on point. And I think, much as I'd love to blame the publishers, I think the overall thing is sadly just a consequence of a lack of profit to be made in creating video games compared to 10 years ago. The publishers don't have as much money, and they're more pressed to get the game released immediately. They can't wait because they invest a certain amount of money in a project and they need to have this money returned by a certain point. So that means the deadlines for creating video games are much shorter, and the amount of money invested by the publisher into the video game is much less at the same time. So that means the video game company needs to prioritize certain things. And so now you do get this new wave of games which are prioritizing soundtracks a little bit more. But generally,
put back
you need to get some
back
basics.
later in 10th place, sadly, sometimes soundtracks. But there are special ones which are free that they go in an old way in the traditional way, luckily. So
Mm,
sometimes there is a really good examples too. But I think nowadays it's much lesser now. Like, yeah, it's much less
it's true.
numbers.
Obviously, with the development of the surge of illegal downloading, I think this has had a big impact um, on this entire, well, all media industries has been affected by it. And I think video games probably have taken the biggest hit. Video games and movies. With movies, you can make a load of cash from the box office, um, but with video games, you don't have a cinema release for video games, do you? So you're completely reliant on the sales, and I think about 30% of all video games are being downloaded illegally, and so that means the publisher effectively has 30% less money and 30% less time to get this game out as a result of it. So I don't think it's had quite as much of a consequence as people thought it was going to have. But I think certain things like music for a video game and music for film have taken a bit of a slash because there are certain like other areas you need to get completely sorted out first, like having a glitch-free engine in a video game, having a graphic system which doesn't need to be,
Yeah,
stunning,
nowadays
but
they
it
put
needs
it
it needs to
first.
fulfill a certain requirement
Visuals.
because
Yeah.
most audiences expect a certain amount of visuals, and they don't necessarily need it to be like realistic, but they need it to be very clean looking. So you can't the resolution needs to be quite high, and the textures need to be HD, and there can't be really any edges to the models you're creating, because then people sort of like they disconnect with it. But if you create something which is sort of like a Heroes 3 style, but with like really smooth edges, there's no sort of blurriness, there's no pixelated graphics, then you can probably get away with that and invest more money into the soundtrack, which is what a lot of people are doing. A lot of Kickstarter games recently, they create this sort of this 2D pre-rendered background that they require. And so like have you heard of Torment, Tides of Numenera? It's sort of the sequel to Planescape Torment.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then,
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
I'm very much looking forward to that. And that's a similar thing that they've done, what they've done. And Project Eternity, they've used the same engine as that. That came out last year.
Yeah, it has
I
got
really
a
enjoyed
great,
that
great
game. That's,
soundtrack. Yeah,
yeah, soundtrack's beautiful as well. Um,
it's a little bit like Baldur's Gate, the old times. Yeah.
exactly, sort of, yeah. Um, And Baldur's Gate has just released an expansion today, I think, or yesterday.
Yeah,
Siege of Dragonsphere. So I'm going to be, I'm looking
yeah,
forward
I
to
heard
playing that.
about
I'll
it.
find a few
It's a
days. I'll find some.
continuation of the first game, maybe, or the in between the first and the second game, maybe.
That's right. Yes, it's the bridging the gap in between the
Yeah,
stories. Yeah. So I'm very much looking forward to playing that. And again, it's the same kind of route. They don't need to have a massive publisher investing loads of money in them,
yeah.
and they can because they don't have a publisher, they don't have this massive, this really short deadline to meet.
Mm.
So they've been able to take the time on it, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they've came up
And
with.
it can be start separately. We don't need the first or the second game now. For
Um,
this
you know what? That's an interesting thing. I'm pretty sure it's a standalone game,
standalone.
but it's meant to be a Baldur's Gate 1 expansion. No, I think that's how they've advertised it. So you might need to have the original Baldur's Gate to be able to play.
I have the
Uh,
enhanced edition, the new Steam versions, and
you can, yeah, but I think you'll like
also I
just.
played the original one in the past. Yeah, that's,
Oh, it's good. And I think like the Baldur's Gate 2 expansion, you kind of start from the beginning. So you can start like at level 8 or 9
yeah.
and just play through the expansion. I don't think you need to play through the entire Baldur's Gate 1 in order to play this one. Um,
And maybe there will be a Baldur's Gate 3. There are many gossips there that the developers maybe will do that too. And then that maybe you see, yeah. And Project Eternity maybe in the spiritual way, the continuation of the.
Well, yeah, that's
Of
how
the
it's what advertised. I mean, it created something like very individual and unique, actually. I don't think it was a
sadly, I
social.
haven't got it yet, but
Yeah.
will buy this year, I think. Yeah. You
But
have it. You have it. You have the Project of Eternity.
oh yes, I played it.
Kickstarter,
It didn't take me long at all, actually. It took me like 2 weeks or maybe 1 week. I don't know, just to complete it. I didn't do a second playthrough.
It has expansions too now.
That's right, the White March,
Yeah, part one too. Yeah.
and part 1 and 2. I never decided to get them because if I decided to play it through a second time, I would have got the expansions as well. I don't know why. I think I just don't have that much time. If I had a bit more time, I would have played it through a second
It's
time
a
and
long
just really
game too.
enjoyed the
Not
game.
as long as the Baldur's Gate. Yeah.
Yeah, um, it didn't take me that long to complete it, and I did most of the side quests, so it feels like a long game.
Hmm.
And I think the expansions have added another like 50 hours or so onto the gameplay. Um, but I know it's quite short and sweet for me. It didn't take me too long, but it's very challenging at the same time.
Challenging. It's a harder
Um,
game than nowadays.
yeah, I'd had
Challenge
yeah,
is,
absolutely. A lot of games nowadays. very easy to complete.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was more in the old school kind of Baldur's Gate style, and there was like I don't know at least 20 occasions when I had to reload my game. I was playing it on
Hmm?
either the
It's not
hardest or the
normal.
second
You
hardest
played on
difficulty.
normal.
Oh no, I never play games on normal. I always go for the
Hard.
hard difficulty because it gives a greater sense of realism
Yeah.
to it. I can just immerse myself in the game better when there's a bit more challenge to it.
Yes.
It gives it an addictive quality.
And you had a project too with the maker, the composer of the Gothic
With Gothic
music
games, even.
franchise, Gothic with the Kai
Yes.
Rosenkranz. He has got a Kickstarter project, Journey Home. You know? And you collaborated with him maybe in this project, or if I remember well.
Yes, I'm working with Kai Rosenkranz, yeah. Um, Recently, and not a lot has been happening because Kai had a baby girl, and that meant everything suddenly started slowing down. Um,
Was.
and he's tied to two companies. He's a CEO of one company,
Oh,
and I think he's an executive of another company, and he's got this other job on top of that. And he's a full-time dad, so he doesn't have that much time to work on the music. I've heard recent stuff he's done. It's all going really, really well. And I think all of the orchestra's recording now actually. So I don't
It
know. I
will be
think it'll be.
similar to the Gothic music,
There
so
are some parts which are very similar, but other parts which are much more like a film soundtrack. A lot of the music reminds me of Forrest Gump, the movie.
yeah, it's
Yes,
quite.
yes.
Yeah.
Um,
The music is
yeah, a lot of it gives me the very Forrest Gump kind of feel. It's very sort of very sweet.
sweet,
Uh,
peaceful, calmer. Yeah, it lyrics.
yeah, very sort of
Sometimes sad.
Yeah, so this whole sort of concept of family and home, he's really communicated that really well
Journey
on the
home.
album. That's something which he's really sort of passionate about at the moment, Kai. Um, yeah, just this home, this solid foundation to your life, and this loving wife and these adorable children. He's sort of like really enjoying this sort
Fitting
of
well
this
together.
life he has at the
The real
moment.
life.
So
Yeah.
his music is sort of like really reflecting how much joy he's experiencing from his family, really.
It's quite.
So some of it's like, yeah, there is some like gothic-y moments, definitely. It's definitely a central part of who he is, this kind of gothic style composing.
And
But
he
other parts of it
collaborated
are
with
like
the
so
guys who made the Matrix soundtracks. I don't know if
mm,
you know that. Who made the Gothic soundtracks made some parts of the Matrix trilogy.
I did not
Which
know
is
that. Really?
soundtracks. Yeah. It's quite.
I'm gonna have to ask him about that. It's very interesting.
I only know it from a magazine back in 2006 maybe when the
All right.
pre-released, and they said that they are a qualified group. They work on movie soundtracks, and it's heard that they use much more now in numbers, much more um, instruments, and also much varied type of instruments. Also because of the world, it's a varied one. It's the deserts kind of terrains and ambience and everything. There's also the grasslands and also the northern ones. It's quite good. The game is not was a flawless game, but
Absolutely.
they
Yeah.
patched it well through the years to a normal
It's
degree.
always nice to modernize things,
Yeah,
isn't it? So
yeah, it
yeah.
was quite good, I think. And I know sometimes
Cool.
maybe you will collaborate for another fans or guitarists or pianists for some videos. There are many.
Yes, absolutely. I'm doing much more collaborative work at the moment, actually. I'm collaborating with a flautist from Germany, so he's going to be playing some flute alongside my guitar, and I'm going to be releasing that hopefully um, in a in a week, hopefully. Just waiting for him to do his flute part because he's just had a big recital. Excuse me. He's just had a big recital, so now he's finally free to do the recording. So it takes as long as it takes. So hopefully in a week or two, I'll be able to release that collaboration. I've got another collaboration um, with an exceptional guitarist coming out this year. That'll be done in the summer. So I'm looking forward to that. I can't say any more just yet. Um, and I'm going to be doing some work with a violinist as well this year. I might even be starting a sort of separate YouTube channel, just me and this violin player. Um, Sort of like slightly tied into
The
performance.
girl, the blonde girl, I don't know her name now, with the violin.
Oh
No?
yes, yes, it's a female, like most violin players.
Yeah.
You don't really get guys playing violins,
Yeah,
do you?
strangely. How you
I
said
mean,
about it, yeah.
there's nothing wrong with it, of course, but it's just when you think violin, you do end up thinking, must be a woman, must be a woman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
So yeah,
beautiful lady.
she's exceptionally good.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be doing some work with her. Um, so yeah, that's another thing
It's
I'm excited
Maluka,
about.
or if I pronounce it
Luca,
right.
yes.
You know,
Um,
she made many kind of Skyrim, Oblivion,
yeah,
whatever.
she's done the a lot of tracks for the Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah, and yeah. So what happened is she started doing covers, and then suddenly like she got this massive following, and
Yeah, so
yeah, and then sort of they
she's
hired her.
Mexican, maybe, if I remember.
Mexican, I believe, yes.
Yeah. As
Um,
Romero too. Romero has a Mexican
but he is, of course, he is, yes.
in half,
Um,
half, yeah.
I don't know if he was born in Mexico or not,
Yeah.
but yeah, his family's
I'm not
Mexican.
born. Maybe he born in USA, but
Yeah,
parents are born in. They were born in Mexico. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, interesting, isn't
Yeah,
it?
interesting.
Um,
But the whole world feel and love music.
well, exactly, that's one connecting
It's
factor, isn't it?
maybe
Yeah,
the best, yeah, connection that
yeah.
everybody can share and feel. That's really, really cool.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's one of the greatest joys of having the YouTube channel is just connecting with people from all around the world, different cultures, and yet they're all unified by this one um, musical factor. It's really something else.
Yeah, yeah. And also, what is the type of camera and also the programs that you use for recording
Ah,
those covers and videos? So some people want to know the
yeah,
technical
no
types.
problem. I started using, I may as well go through the timeline of my setup. I started with Audacity, which is a
Yeah.
free
Yes.
music production software, and I was just using my condenser mic and my Samsung C01U condenser microphone, and so that took me through until about the end of 2010 when I bought a Zoom H24 or something. H4n, I think it's called. It's a handy recorder with a couple of condenser microphones inside it, and I use that to record my first three Skyrim recordings, including the Sons of Skyrim thing that went quite well. And yeah, the Dragon Age campfire theme was recorded with that, so I didn't need to use any. I continued to use Audacity, so I sort of like I recorded it on a Zoom recorder, and then I put it on my computer, and I mixed on Audacity. But then I wanted to get like a fairly professional sound, so I bought myself a Focusrite Scarlett USB interface. I don't know if you're familiar with audio technology, but the interface is something which it serves as a preamplifier unit, so it takes the microphone level up to a level that's actually audible, and and what it also does is it processes the analog signal into a digital one, and then the digital signal goes into your computer. And I was using Cubase alongside that.
Okay.
Um, so, and that was me until my Concerning Hobbits used that setup with a couple of Rode M3 microphones, I think. They were quite cheap ones. Um,
But
and
quite
my
good.
next,
Yeah.
yeah, they got a really great sound considering the price. Um, and I kept using the Scarlett interface and my Rode mics until my outdoor videos. When I started doing outdoor videos, I used that's why I did studio recordings.
Mhm.
So what happened with the outdoor videos was I used my university studios. Um, I bought myself some microphones called T-Bone SC140s. They're these pencil mics. Um, so they're condenser microphones, just like the last pair I was using, but they're much slimmer and smaller. But the sound they get is much higher quality. So I was using them and taking them into the university studios, and I was using the very expensive preamps and audio interfaces
And
of the
sometimes
studio.
these kind of programs are
Yeah,
really, really expensive. So yeah.
oh, absolutely. But through the advantage of it being so
Yeah.
such high-end hardware, there wasn't any hiss. At the moment you're hearing this hiss from my microphone, and but with the outdoor recordings, I couldn't really afford to have any kind of hiss. I wanted to give it the impression of being like outdoors with me. So I used the studios and I got these really high quality recordings. And I pretty much that was me until recently, until about September last year. Um, I moved in, I had some money saved up. So I moved into this place I'm living in right now, and I bought a Firewire, no, sorry, what's it called? Fireface, that's right.
Right.
An RME Fireface 800. I managed to get that for cheap. Um, so I'm using that as my audio interface, and that's at the same level as the University Studios interface. So I've already got the sort of kind of hiss-free professional audio interface. And I'm using a couple of Rode NT5 microphones, which are sort of mid-range condenser microphones, and they are sort of much more crisp. They capture more frequencies overall. And that's my current setup at the moment. I've just got a couple of Rode NT5s plugged into my Fireface 800. And yeah, it's probably worth about 3 times as much money as my Concerning Hobbits setup. So it's a lot more of an investment, but the overall sound quality, in my opinion, is a lot more professional, and it's the sort of sound quality you might expect to hear on an album. So thanks to having this setup, I can record. I'm currently recording this
An
now.
album like a Kickstarter project, you know.
Oh,
Hey,
maybe when I get a bit more reach on YouTube, I can sort of experiment with a Kickstarter. But at the moment, I'm sort of working on my Skyrim album, and I'm looking forward to getting this released because once I've got this album released, it's the first step on a road. I can sort of say, okay, I've finally got an album released. I'll sell it for a moderate price. If people want CDs, I'll start printing CDs. But I'm taking a very laid-back approach to it. Well, like maybe in 2 years when I have a bit more of a fan base, I can.
that's digital one, yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely mainly digital at the moment, but But yes, maybe in a couple of years I can start doing this sort of Kickstarter type things and sort of say, okay, I want to release this album, but I want to get these other instruments in it, or I want. Well, the good thing about being a guitarist is if it's just solo guitar and you already have the setup, you don't really need an extra amount of funding. So the only reason I'd do a Kickstarter really is to have other people to collaborate with me, or if I need to go traveling to work with a composer. So maybe let's say me and another composer started working together, but he was going to compose the music and I was going to play it. That means we might release a Kickstarter to fly me over to his country and pay for the recording hardware and software that we use to get it done. So that's definitely something that could work in future. Or it might be me as a composer.
I hope you can achieve it.
Maybe in 2 years I'm already composing music, but like in 2 years I might be composing orchestral music. And I might want to hire an orchestra to perform whatever piece of music I composed. That means I'd release a Kickstarter for that as well.
So you want maybe compose too in the future?
Absolutely, yes. I mean, I do a lot of composition on my guitar. I compose for my sort of band project, which is sort of an ambient soundtracky kind of thing with just a few instruments. But in the future, I'd love to start composing for a full orchestra, which is obviously a more demanding job. I mean, composing itself, composing on a single instrument, it's difficult. But once you've got the skills, you can start moving between harmonies. You know which note connects into another note, and you know what kind of harmonies represent a certain emotional style. So it just becomes unconscious. You sort of you want to make this piece of music, and then 2 weeks later, you'll have created this really nice harmonic progression. But actually orchestrating that is another skill entirely, and it's not while I can compose on my guitar to a level I'm happy with, I can't orchestrate as much as I'd like to. So that's going to be something I'll be getting into in the next couple of years if I can find the time to practice it.
And sometimes some composers from the movies make video games soundtrack now too. I don't know now the exact name sadly, but who made the Borgias series, the Borgias, and the Tudors series, about Henry VIII.
Oh,
He made a soundtrack for Dragon Age Inquisition, so maybe you heard that too.
right. Okay, cool.
So it is quite strange sometimes that the composers move to another
Yeah,
type of
that's really
art,
interesting. Yeah.
music industry. So yeah. Yeah, but it was quite good. If what I heard from the soundtrack, I wanted to hear live through the game too. I will buy the game too maybe in this year.
Mm.
It was quite good also that. But Einunzer,
Yeah.
you know, who made the first and second Dragon Age soundtrack, maybe made
Oh yes, In on Zer
Icewind
worked on.
Dale too, and
Yeah.
Dark
Yes, Icewind
Age.
Dale 2 is my favorite game
Yeah, yeah.
of all time. Actually, it's incredibly
It's
evocative, that video
that's
game.
the theme of the
But In on
first.
Zer, he really helped with the soundtrack for
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah, it was.
And for Dragon Age Inquisition, yeah, I played it. I played a little bit. Um, and I don't think it was worth buying for me personally. I didn't
Yeah.
get into it
It's
that
not
much.
as good as the first one. The
Yeah,
so talk about
it isn't. Yeah, it doesn't draw you in as much. There's a lot to do, but it feels like you're more in an
it's more
arcade.
repetitive
There's a
and
lot. It's very
MMORPG.
completionist. There's a lot of achievements to get. You're supposed to
Yeah,
like go here, do that. It feels a bit more juvenile. It's
yeah.
more like a kid sort of game.
Not more
Because
personal
like you're
story.
supposed to get achievements, you're supposed to do these things which don't really matter that much. You're just doing them for the sense of doing them. So you're not really drawn into this kind of world like you are of Dragon Age 1.
Mhm.
You're not really drawn into the storyline because you're distracted by all these silly side quests which don't really have any bearing on the real world. So I think it was a bit of a letdown, Dragon Age Inquisition.
Yeah, and I think the second one was not quite bad as the fan said because the storyline and the music is much more personalized. It's a much more
Mm,
peaceful one. Of course, the game mechanics was worse, way better, but and also repetitive actions and the repetitive
yeah,
terrains and the places, but
I enjoyed the
the
second
whole
one.
story and the music has a heart and a soul. So
Yeah, exactly.
but
No, I was also drawn into Dragon Age 2, just like Dragon Age 1.
it
I
was
got into
as a game. Was a average type or bad, almost a bad game,
Yeah.
but for the
But the
music,
storyline itself and the way it's presented, the dialogue
it's
is
much
really
more personal.
great.
Right? It's a unit,
Yeah,
not
exactly.
that there is a hero and save the day and the world. It's not kind of.
Yeah, it was a bit of
The
a
music is a diver from that too. It was either Einazur too, of course, but.
hmm.
Yeah, it was a quite good one. And for last question, now you working as a musician, so it is your workplace, if I can say so, or
Oh, I
you
know.
have
Sadly not. I am making some money from my music, but it's
see.
not it isn't the sole source of my income. Um, I think it will be certain due to certain projects I'm attached to at the moment. I think in a year's time, I will be making like most, if not all, of my money from music. But at the moment, what happened is I graduated and then I needed to find a job because I didn't want
Yeah.
to move back home. Um, so I'm working at a music venue called The Sage. You can look it up if you like. It's quite a pretty glass building. It's sort of like it looks a
It's
lot
a
like.
shop almost, or what? Mu-
Sorry.
Musician shop or instrument shop or
Oh no, it's a venue. So we have
yeah, see,
concerts, we have conferences, we have
see.
three auditoriums. One of them is like incredible. It's just hearing a full orchestra in this auditorium that can house like
Little
2,000 people
concert
in it.
halls maybe too, or
Sorry?
little concert halls there too, or
Yes,
uh,
there's one massive big one.
uh,
There's another one which is designed like for more jazz. It can fit about 500 people in it.
oof.
Jazz, rock, pop. And then we have another one which can fit about 300 people in it.
Oh.
So
So
we have
there
this
can
one
be a
great.
musical festivals here, music festivals
Oh
there.
yes, there's plenty of festivals and such things, and
That's
it is a nice place to work at. I mean,
I
I never really wanted to get a job as such, so and working here, um, if I had to work a job, it'll be the one I'm doing at the moment because being a part of this like
and
really
it's
pretty
it's
music venue with the
almost as
people
your
there are
hobby
really nice.
almost. So it's the best way when your work is your hobby too. So you like the most. That it's
Yeah.
good. But quite hard to achieve, but or get
Oh,
it.
absolutely. But thankfully, I'm just very grateful to be making progress, making money from the music. It's finally becoming something which is achievable. Because the main reason I did music was never to make money
Yeah,
from it.
of course.
It was it was to reach out to people, to connect with them, and to sort of like explore myself and take people on the journey of exploring myself with me, if that makes sense. Um, and like ideally I'd want to be doing that all the time. And in order to do that all the time, I need to be making money from it. That's the only real reason I need to make money from the music. So, but
Just for the basics. After
yes,
that,
exactly, yeah.
you can
Um, so
express
yes, the
yourself.
money's getting a lot better nowadays, thankfully.
Yeah.
Um, in September it was very tight. I was saving about £50 a month. I was only just about making it. Um, but now things are getting better, things are looking up. So I'm going to have much more free time to do the YouTube thing, to release videos. It's been a month since I released my last video.
Because
Thankfully, I recorded a Skyrim thing yesterday, so I'm currently editing that together. So I'll be releasing that in a few days. I'm looking forward to that.
me too.
But it's sometimes, yeah, sometimes it's just difficult to balance my life with creating YouTube videos because there's other musical things I'm attached to that I need to get on
And you
with. And
must plan your time because of that work
I
and
do, yeah, I need to
training
plan my
and
time
also
better.
yeah.
So sadly, I don't get a lot of time for video games at the moment, not as much as I'd like, but I'll make some time.
Yeah, I played Witcher 3 now, but not so many times. I must plan for just for an hour to play.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I have a day off
and
today,
yeah,
thankfully,
yeah,
but I'm actually having somebody round.
yeah.
Um, somebody's going to come round in about 2 hours from now, and we're going to record music.
Ah,
So,
see.
so yeah, it's quite an active lifestyle at the moment, but I'm quite happy with it.
It's a
Sometimes it makes money, other
joyful
times it's
life.
just for the pleasure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's quite good. I wish everything good for you for your plans and the achievements
Thank you very
later, and
much.
also for your collaborations that you talked about. And I hope that the YouTube channel will be growing even faster from
Oh,
this
so
time
too, yes.
around,
It's just a matter of releasing videos when I say I'm going
and
to
also
release them. That's
your albums that you talked about.
it.
And
Yeah.
you can send some new infos to me maybe later about them.
Appreciate that.
Thank
Yeah.
I really thankful for your exception for this interview. So, and that you can
That's
be
no
a
problem. It's
part
been
of
my pleasure.
our channel in that way.
Yes, absolutely.
Also,
Yeah, this is the first interview I've done actually,
oh, that's
like this. So yeah, this has been quite refreshing. So I've enjoyed it.
and me too. And then I think the
Well, it's
fans.
a shame my camera ran out of battery about halfway through, but next time it'll be. I think the only
Sometimes
reason it ran
good
out of
days
battery is
there, but
because I was filming I was filming about yesterday evening, so and I didn't fully charge the battery for this, so it's my own fault. Distracted.
and me too.
So
We had a party, so
yes,
yeah. That I'm really thankful for the interview and wishing all great for the future comes.
cool.
And
You too. Perhaps we'll do another one at some time.
thank you.
Who knows?
Yeah, if you can make another one later, we talk about later. So
Yes.
thanks and have fun all of your works that
You too, man. It's
later.
been great
And
talking.
thank you for the exception, and also thanks for the audience that they this interview now. I hope they can feel the music in your video. They
Yes.
will hear your music so on the
Hopefully
channel.
it'll provide some insight for some people who are interested. Yes, definitely.
And the most interesting thing also that you can fool yourself to another world with these kind of music. So
Exactly. That's it.
yeah, so thanks for all of the viewers and the audience that hearing and seeing this video and interview, and we will be meet again later in the near future. I hope.
Hopefully.
I wish good luck for all of them and you and all of the audiences, and really great to see this kind of musical talented artists that you are in the YouTube world. And so we have a thankful and goodbye to everyone.
Aye. Goodbye to everybody. And thank you for the interview.
Me too.